Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. It's Tuesday, April the 4th. Yes, it's our second recording of the day. The difference being the first one we did was in Major League Baseball with Jesse and Sean, and that went this morning, so you can get that on our archives. We have 3 Major League Baseball free picks. This is late afternoon, actually mid-afternoon for Doug Upstone, Mr. Doug Upstone, by the way, from DocSports.com. I'm sure many of you know him already, but if you haven't, you're missing something because this guy, let me tell you what he did. He went 10-0 with his last 10 college basketball picks, including killing it in the Final Four, which I went 0-3. That 0-3 finish was really put a bad taste in my mouth because it was preceded by an 11-2 run, but so be it. 11-5. I finished 11-5 in 26 and 17 with my last 43 in college basketball. But Doug, 10-0, buddy. Tell us.
Well, what can I say? Just, I mean, as you saw on Twitter, I did not put, it wasn't a great season, but it was a great ending. Okay. Yeah. So from that standpoint, I don't even know. I wish I did know. It's just why, you just look at the tournaments differently. And I don't do well in the tournaments every year, but sometimes it just kind of falls into place. And it's more about the teams than it is about situations, and that's what it really becomes, I mean, it's not like, because one thing that I'll just mention, this is nothing to do with me, but Jay Billis picked Connecticut to win the national championship in his original pick. And, and it fell, as it turns out. I wouldn't have thought it how he thought it. But when we did the show about the qualifications of an NCAA champion, well, other than point guard, because they didn't have a great point guard, they had very good NBA quality guards, but not a point guard. And they checked all the boxes, as it turns out. Connecticut, that I had talked about, a really strong big man, long winning streak during the season, all of those types of things. I mean, and they got it done. I mean, couldn't have been more impressive. But yes, thank you, Ross. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Absolutely.
It was fun, nice to hit some I had a number of big plays as well, because it ended up being $4,100 in terms of units based at Docs. So yes, so always better to finish strong than not, as like you said, a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth of some of the situations in those games, but you also had some bad luck. Okay. No question about that.
I mean, I can't complain because the 3 losses I had over the weekend weren't good ones. I mean, I wasn't close. And a lot of people say I would rather lose that way, but there's that competitive spirit in you. When you do this professionally on a daily basis, those overtime losses kill you, and the half a point losses kill you. But by the same token, you don't want to miss by a lot, because the perception, you and I know that we're not paying any extra if we lose by 50 or we lose by 1. Okay, so nobody's going to chase you down and say, "Hey, buddy, I know you had 220 to win 2 on this game, but you lost by 50. You owe us another $100." No, that doesn't happen. And nor does it happen when you win by 50 or you cover by 50. They're not going to give you any more money. Having said that, there's the perception amongst people that buy from you and subscribers that you should at the very least be in every game. I just missed with the FAU game in the semifinal against San Diego State. I had the under, and both teams just shot lights out from 3 to start the game. And that was just so hard to overcome. And San Diego State going in, Doug, they're number 2 in 3-point percentage defense, and FAU was just killing it from downtown. So I missed that by a ton. And then I had in the championship game, after lauding UConn the whole freaking tournament, excuse my language, I went against them. And I said, I think they're going to win this game, but I think the 5.5 is a little too much. And it just looks too fishy to me. San Diego State. I mean, when you look here's where I went wrong in the last 2 days of the tournament, being the Final Four and the finals. I didn't trust my eyes. I didn't trust what I saw. And sometimes us as handicappers, and I can't speak for you, but I think you're going to agree with some of this, if not all of it, is sometimes when we get hot, like I was, you tend to get a little too cute instead of keep doing what you're doing when it got there. And you hit a great point. We talked off here, and a lot of over the years now, people look more and more at the betting trends. And when I say betting trends, not how a team does in a certain situation. Betting trends meaning the number of tickets bet on a certain team and the number and what kind of money does that amount to? And then you coincide that with the line movement, and there's various ways you could look at it. But more and more, I'm starting to think when it gets to the NCAA tournament, and you mentioned this too. You almost have to cast that aside and trust your eyes, especially if you're an avid follower, but in any event, what's your thoughts on that, Doug?
Yeah. Well, I would say that the biggest thing about that, I would agree with your points, first of all. Okay. And this is the one aspect that is so difficult that people don't understand about sports betting and sports handicapping in general, is the fact that this is just a general question. If you work 5 days a week, okay, how often of those 5 days are you on your best? Okay, how many days are average, and how many days are below average? Now extrapolate that into a month, and extrapolate that into a year, and now change the formula from 5 days to 7 days. Yeah. Okay, and that's how I really feel about it. Is that everybody has different thoughts on a literally everyday basis, and you're just not a robot. And so because of that, okay, you're going to have ups and downs. Even when you know certain things that you should or shouldn't do, you're still gonna do them, just like anybody does with anything in the world.
Yeah, there's a fine line when it comes to sports betting, specifically sports handicapping. When it comes to how could I put this? Just trusting what you see, right. And the bottom line is, and I want to put this in a different phrase and category, but it's not coming to me. Maybe it will come to me later in the show. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a fine line between evolving and impatience. Evolving is something we start to see, and we're starting to see a turn in the way games are played and the way they're officiated. And you have to make subtle adjustments along the way to compensate for that. If you don't, you get left behind. And then there's the impatience that comes in when you're handicapping the same way, and you're hitting at a good percentage. And then you have a bad week and you try to change things abruptly. Or make you see what I'm saying here, and I know I didn't put this as eloquently as I wanted to, but it's a mind game sometimes that you almost have to be a little bit of a psychiatrist when you deal with sports handicapping as well.
Oh yeah, no question about it, Ross. I mean, I'm a big believer in all of this. How much of it is mental, okay, and one of the like anything in life, one of the most difficult things to do sometimes is to sit down and look at a bunch of games, and where you have the switch, you say, okay, I'm going to turn this on. It's going to happen. Okay. Because something may have happened in your day that's going to permit that not to occur. And I'm not saying the results will be any different, but you're like I said, you're not a robot. You're not a machine. You're not part of the AI to where you could get consistent behavior. I guess maybe that's another way to put it in today's world. So no, I'm a huge believer in that. And as I've said, probably now not recently, but also I always have the correlation to golf. Is if you've ever played golf, if you ever been miniature golfing, you've done anything to do with that. Some days you look at the putt, okay, and you could be 20 feet away and it's going to go in. And other days you could be 2 feet from the cup and you have no idea how it's going to go in the hole.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
And that's what sports handicapping to me is very much like from a mental perspective.
And like any other line of work, to be successful, you have to have more good days than bad days, but you're going to have bad days.
Yes.
If we didn't have bad days, there's only one person who doesn't have a bad day, and he's not a person. He's a being, and that's the Lord up above. And you know what? Neither one of us are that. So in any event, and by the way, folks, I'm wearing off on Doug. Damn it. In the semifinal, the guy who refuses to go to money line on short favorites. What did he do? He went on the money line and took San Diego State on the money line against FAU. He wins at the buzzer, and he wouldn't have covered if he did the point spread. Congratulations, my friend. I'm finally getting to you.
Now, let's qualify. Now, you're talking in absolutes here, and absolute means 100%. I have on the show on occasion gone with money lines. Yes. I have also refused in other situations when you've tried to lead me down there. And so, but yes, in this particular instance, it just, I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel, I mean, why would 2.5 points matter? I don't know, but it literally was a feeling. I said, you know what? I'm off this 2.5, and I'm going to just take them on the money line, and I'd rather do it that way. So
absolutely. It worked. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is it went from, I believe San Diego State opened, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, they opened as a 1-point favorite. They moved to 2.5. So, I mean, again, there's variables. Every situation's different. See, I'm automatic. If I can get 140 or less, 135 or less, if it's a one-game situation, I'll stretch that 135 to 140, maybe 142 or so. But if it's a multiple game situation, meaning a multiple game card, yeah, I won't do that. So in any event, I'm glad it worked out for you. And if I had any influence with you at all over that, I want to give myself a pat on the back. Thank you.
Well, you deserve it. You deserve it. Yes. I mean, hey, we both just by osmosis and talking about things like this.
Absolutely.
And anybody that does this, if you're not paying attention to learn something, not necessarily from you and I, I'm just saying in general, if you're not doing that, okay, you're not going to advance. It's as simple as that.
No, but it helps when you're listening to people who actually know what they're talking about with proven winning experience over a long period of time. And that goes for any field, and, and that's like I've mentioned time and time again, folks, and I appreciate all of you out there, and so does Doug, and so does the rest of the crew. Okay, a lot of new subscribers to the channel, and thank you for that. But and even the old subscribers, I've heard me say this time and time again. The objective of this show is not only to give you free winners, because we make our living selling picks and betting on our own games. So if without that, these shows don't exist, right? But we put our best foot forward here with these free picks, and we want to win them. But what we hope to do is at the end of the day, make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. And a lot of you out there, with the feedback we've been getting recently, Doug, get it. It's starting to sink in, and there's nothing more satisfying than seeing a guy chime in and say, you know what, I was torn on this game, but you guys taught me something, and I ended up using it and it won. Right. Or even better, and I know this sounds absurd, Doug, is the guy who chimes in and says, you know what, I didn't use any of your picks, but I sure the hell learned a lot from listening to you guys, so it's, if you don't use it this time, keep it in your memory bank. If you were wrong by not using it, keep it in your memory bank, jot it down, you get a little black book, make notes, you know what I mean? Especially if something really jumps out at you. And it was something you were unaware of going in, and it turned out to be pretty good for us. You might want to keep that in your memory bank for using it going forward, is what I'm trying to say. All right, we're talking NBA. Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
No. You know what? I'm ready to talk NBA, Ross. Okay, all right. I'm ready to go. And hey, and by the way, if you have not, we like Ross just mentioned, ton of subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, now's your opportunity. Okay,
absolutely.
So we've had a lot of success, everybody on this channel, in terms of giving out free picks and such. So subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. If you've been watching, if you haven't done it, do it now, and we're good to go. All right. So speaking of good to go, so am I with the NBA. On Wednesday evening, we have a very intriguing matchup with the Los Angeles Lakers versus the LA Clippers, because they're playing in the same arena that they always do, just going to the visitors' locker room instead. So in this one, now, as we're doing this on Tuesday afternoon, right now we have we have 4 teams in the Western Conference that have 38 losses, and they hold positions 5 through 8 in that conference in terms of for the playoff standings. Now, the reason I say losses, okay, as opposed to wins, is because at the end of the year, everyone's going to play 82 games. Right now, some of the teams have played different amounts. Okay, so right now these 2 teams are all tied. Now they are in order, well, not in order. Golden State, New Orleans, and both Los Angeles teams, okay, that fill those positions. Everybody except the Clippers plays Tuesday night, okay, and that includes the Lakers. So that is a possibility that, and they're, by the way, they're also all favored. Now the Lakers, then, if they win against Utah, they'll be tied exactly with the Clippers. So what these 2 teams want to do, the Lakers and the Clippers, they want to get up to the 5th and 6th spots, okay, in the to avoid the play-in games. Okay, so that's what their goal is. That's how they want to go about it. Now, the purple and gold Lakers, they've been hot. Okay, going into Tuesday night, 7 out of 8. Okay, that they've excuse me, 6 out of 7 that they've won. Offense is percolating. They have shot 50% in those 7 games 5 different times. So their offense is red hot, despite the fact that Anthony Davis and LeBron James are on the injured list every single time. Yeah. So that's just kind of a odd situation, but they're trying to get their teams into the playoffs. Clippers are missing Paul George, no question about it. They're only 4-5 in their last 9. From that standpoint, offense has still been pretty good. Defense has suffered. Okay, now there is no line on this game, and I don't anticipate a line until Wednesday, to be perfectly honest, because the Lakers are playing today, and especially late in the year, what happens is they're the odds makers don't give out lines early. Okay, unless the teams for sure are not playing. So I looked up Sagarin, showing that the Clippers are about or almost a 1-point favorite. Even though the Clippers are home, they don't have what I would call a home court advantage, because that's where the Lakers also play. So I'm going to set the line just because of the home crowd with the Clippers at -1.5. Now, odds makers have 2 things to decide whatever the line ultimately is, or I should say will be. Lakers, they're hot. Okay, most of the money that's going to be bet on this game, I'm going to assume, is going to be from Lakers fans or people that like the Lakers and this standpoint. But at the same time, the Lakers have lost 10 in a row to the Clippers.
Oh,
and
wow.
They've only covered once, okay, in that stretch. So how am I looking at this? Well, you know what? I'm not going to bet against that streak. Maybe the Lakers are playing better right now. Okay, I'm not even going to say that is not true, but 10 in a row, okay, against basically your chiefest rival, okay, you're going to have a home crowd. I'm going to recommend to take the Lakers, to take the Clippers either as an underdog or up to -2 for my free play in this game.
Yep. So you like the Clippers as either an underdog or a favorite of 2 or less. So
that is correct.
If they're a pick 'em, if they're an underdog, if they're -1, -1.5, -2, basically. So yeah, I mean, I the viewers, I want them to learn something every day from watching the show. Well, see, I just did, and Doug mentioned it before. Well, sometimes we teach each other, and I had no idea, no clue. The Clippers had that kind of stranglehold over the Lakers in recent seasons here. That's probably going back to last year, because they do play. Well, no,
it actually goes 3 years.
3 years, yeah. There you go. Because they only play 4 times a year, and I don't recollect they played in a playoff series anytime recently. So very good, Doug. Very good breakdown. And again, we're at the odds makers' disposal. We are taping 24 hours in advance, folks. Sometimes we're going to run into these predicaments, but we do the best we could to give you the most accurate line we could and provide you with the most accurate, up-to-date information that we have at the time of recording. So, repeating again, Doug likes the LA Clippers as a underdog or a favorite of 2 or less within that point spread range. So there you go. I'm going to take a look at Sacramento and Dallas. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks are -4, a monster total of 245.5. here's the thing, you know me, I'm a contrarian guy sometime. And this is one of those cases. I mean, you're getting a Sacramento team that's won 15 of their last 21 against a Dallas team that's lost 7 of 8 and 16 of their last 22. Yet Dallas is a favorite. Why? Well, one of the reasons may be is Dallas will be playing on 2 days rest tomorrow or today, whatever day you're viewing this video. And on the other hand, Sacramento, we're taping on the 4th for the game on the 5th. The Sacramento is still yet to play a game tonight on the 4th. So they're playing with no rest. So basically you have a team like Dallas playing at home in a very desperate situation because of their tailspin. Now they're on the outside looking in, Doug. They're in a number 11 seed and they're 1 game out of the number 10 seed to get into at least the play-in tournament. And both these teams have split their season series 1-1. Both of those games are played in Sacramento. But here's the thing that I look at, too. In those 2 games, Dallas, from the three-point line in the 2 games against Sacramento, even though both were on the road, they went 38 for 94 three-point shooting, 94 three-point attempts in 2 games, and they hit 40.4% of those attempts. They averaged 19 three-point makes a game. So for a struggling team like Dallas right now, they're going to need that. And another thing to keep in mind, Sacramento just recently clinched the playoff spot. And that ended the longest NBA playoff drought of any team currently in the league. Sacramento, I can't remember the last time they made the playoffs, but they had the longest drought in between the last time they qualified and this time. So a little bit of, I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit of emotional letdown tonight. I'm showing my hand because I went against them tonight on my premium paid selections. And being the situation that they're in and the urgency and desperation that Dallas has to play with tomorrow, and the fact that Dallas is a favorite. I mean, a 4-point favorite, not just a 1.5, 2 point, a 4-point favorite. I got to go with Dallas here, Doug. Minus the 4. I mean, in sports, but they're begging you to take the underdog here, based on everything I just said. And, in sports betting, if it looks too good to be true, folks, more times than not it is. But anyway, your thoughts, Doug.
Yeah, on that, well, first of all, is that, Sacramento, for the most part, has nothing to play for. Yeah. They go into tonight, they're 2 games behind Memphis with 4 to go. And so chances of them catching them or surpassing them for the number 2 seed, not much. So it makes sense that they would possibly want to rest players, or if they just, want to, let's just say, go through, quote unquote, the motions of trying to get there, I'm not buying it. Now Dallas, talk about desperate, because Dallas does not own the tiebreaker, okay, against Oklahoma City, who is 1 spot ahead of them. Yep. That means Dallas has to win 3 and that the Oklahoma City has to lose 3, okay, to get into the playoffs. That seems like a stretch, but that's Dallas's only hope right now. So, the line is how you described it. I think it makes perfect sense. And I agree with your selection on that one, Ross.
Well, that's good. I feel better since you've been so red hot. And also keep in mind, it's Sacramento plays, Oklahoma City plays Golden State tonight. So correct. There's a chance, again, Golden State's an 8-point favorite. And I use the underdog in that game, by the way, folks. See, you're not only listening to this podcast, but you're picking up some of my premium paid selections. So the next time you complain about these are just free picks, why don't you give us our best? I just did. No assurance you're going to win, but I put a lot of research into that, and let's hope so. But in any case, all good points, Doug. And this expanded playoff format, since they went to it, expanding it to 10 teams, I like it because as opposed to prior to this change, there was so many teams were out of it by the middle of March, early March. And as it is, when you look at the board today, look how many double-digit lines there are today. Could you imagine if it was only 8 teams that made the playoffs in each conference? It would be even worse. So in any event, repeating again, Doug likes the LA Clippers as either a favorite of 2 or less or an underdog, whatever you can get them at. If it's not within that point spread range, which would mean that it went from -2.5 or greater, just stay away from the game. Again, he made all the specifics, talked about all the specifics as to why there's no line on this game. And we're going to see that a lot of times going forward until the end of the regular season. I don't know about you, Doug. I can't wait for the playoffs because I'm getting tired of people just sitting out for a toenail injury. Anyway, in any event. All right. So you could find me at rbwins.com. That's rbwins.com. NBA and Major League Baseball. A lot of that going forward. I will be participating in the NHL playoffs. I have a very good NHL record over the years, but I just stopped selling so much NHL because, my video podcasting time takes up a lot, and I have to weigh in what sells the best, and the NHL notoriously does not sell well compared to the other sports. So it's just a business decision. But at this point of the year, when it gets to the playoffs, get reduced schedules, not a lot of options for people out there. And that's when I zero in. But Doug, DocSports.com, what may you have coming up this week or anything else you'd like to discuss in that manner?
Absolutely. So we know about college basketball. So then in the NBA, still rolling, Ross. Runs of 10-4, 15-6, and 28-14. Going that I believe that was just before the All-Star break is when that actually started. So yeah, so really rolling in the NBA. Highly selective this week. I can already tell you, even though there's going to be I think 15 games on Sunday, I won't have one of them. Okay, because I hate the last day of the regular season, so I always pass on it, and I will again. But I will have plays. In fact, I have one going tonight. One of the games, and likely we'll have one play each day up until Saturday, but just one. Highly selective because I only want to play on games that there's something at stake. Okay,
Yeah.
For one, if not both teams. So that's so. But yeah, nice run on that. Major League Baseball, 4-1 start, nothing special, real low key in terms of the units. Again, something I've done for years. One thing I would never want to do. Sometimes you get off to rough starts in Major League Baseball. I would never want to bury my clients and or myself right off the bat. So super low units, but off to a good start and just stay. And so then once we start get some numbers at about 8 to 10 games in, then I can start crunching and really start going through how I normally handicap the games. Now, when we have some information. So looking forward to that. Number one at Docs in 2015. It's going to be 2015, 2021. There, 4 of my best 8 seasons in baseball have come in the last 8 years. So looking forward to a huge year and happy to say off to a good start.
Yeah, 4-1 is a good start. And I agree with you, Doug. I've only given out one Major League Baseball pick so far. Why? Well, because of pretty much the same reasons that Doug said. On top of that, folks, I put a lot of emphasis on starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, and I've had to curtail that a bit because you have to evolve because the game has changed and pitching is a lot more specialized now. So there's a lot of things you have to account for. I'm a numbers guy, and other than the starting pitchers, I can care less who else is in the lineup. But I do need numbers in terms of data to beat a number. There you go. Simple as that. But you can find me at rbwins.com and NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball in full swing. Folks, there's picks up every day. And if you get this early enough, I got a 3-game package in the NBA. And if you paid attention, you got 2 of those 3 games I just gave to you. So until the next time, for Mr. Red Hot, Doug Upstone, who finished the college basketball season 11-0, and Ross Benjamin, who finished the college basketball season a paltry 11-5 in the last 16 and 26-17 with the last 43. That's only good for 60%. Pale in comparison to my buddy. But we like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless, folks.